What's up, bruh?
What up?
Or should it be more, how you doing, brother? How you doing, brother? I'm not going to blow my voice out at the very beginning. I'll save that for the end of the podcast. Because every time we do the fucking Macho Man or Hulk Hogan or any kind of wrestling bullshit, my throat hurts and then I sound like dog shit for the rest of the episode. Ashley brought something to my attention. I think it was yesterday or today. I don't remember. All these days blend together anymore. Microsoft Word, and I looked this up, and this is official, has added a woke feature to their editing software. What it does is, now you can't turn this off. You don't have to have it on. I don't use Word because I fucking hate Word. Like, I used to use it, and I lost so much work through its fucking automatic backup system between computers. I don't know what it did, but I lost work multiple times, so I just don't use it anymore. And I just never was a fan of the formatting and shit on it anyway. But I know a lot of our writer friends use Word, so they can attest to this, I suppose. With the woke feature, what it does is say, if you turn, because it has a whole bunch of things, it'll point out racial slurs and gendered language, pronouns, like anything you could think of, like, what people consider woke stuff. So I was looking into it, and like some of the common edits they have, instead of mankind, humankind. Instead of male man, male person, or male carrier. Just like simple things like that. Like it doesn't change it automatically. It puts a purple squiggle. The purple. You ever get a purple squiggle, Spencer?
Never had purple.
You ever get a purple squiggle, brother?
Always red and blue.
Always red. Like America should be. Ain't no purple in America. So I don't know if that's helpful or not. Like, I guess that could be helpful depending on who you're trying to submit your work to or who your audience is. But I don't think I like that.
I feel like a writer that would use that wouldn't need it.
They would know, right?
Yeah, they would.
But is that just like you're so afraid that you'll accidentally slip up and have that, for the sake of all mankind, and not realize it's humankind now?
But
and then you fucked up, and now you think it will get canceled. Like, I don't know. I don't know who that's for.
And this is what we talked about before, where it just like I don't know if it's just because like I'm a straight white male, or just the fact that I'm just jaded to all hell and back, to where it's just like the whole, like, if you get upset that the whole mankind thing, like, if that upsets you, like, you must have a great life. Like, if that's what you have to get mad about,
right?
That, like, bravo to you, because apparently you're doing it great. Because, like, I have so much more shit to worry about and think about.
Right?
Other than if somebody fucking, I don't know.
Says mailman instead of male carrier.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, you can't say policeman. You got to say police officer and just things like that.
But again, then what about if in your story your character is coming up against a male police officer? He would be
still a police officer if you're going to follow the rules. Unless he's a racist hunk of shit or something, then I guess you can call him a policeman. I don't know. Or if you're a feminist and you want to point out that he's a man, you can say policeman. But if it's just in general, generalities, got to be police officer.
Because I don't have a problem with, like, if you're telling, like, a cop story and the partners, one's a male, one's a female, and you refer to one to policeman and the other to policewoman. I don't have a problem with that.
Well, before we even get into those weeds, and by the way, this was just from, like, because this was trending when I looked it up, universally panned, it seemed even like the woke, like the LGBTQ people and all that, like, they kind of thought it was ridiculous even. I didn't see anybody going, yeah, this is good, because, like, most people were just like, because this is a way to not just censor language, but I don't like that it just will control the way you write, because if you have that feature on, then you're just constantly going, oh man, I really should change, and like slowly you'll just change the way you think about things. Now, here's where I'm conflicted. One, I don't have a problem with humankind. I don't have a problem with police officer. I don't have a problem with any of that. But at the same time, I don't like the old George Carlin bit about the softening of language. I don't like that.
Yeah.
Like, he had the bit about,
words have meaning. And
like you're making it too complicated. Like, back in the day, you had shell shock, but then it went to like what we have now, post-traumatic stress disorder. Like, it just gets too big. Like, words just get too long and convoluted, and they almost have no meaning. Like, shell shock sounds like something you'd be like, holy fuck, he got shell shock.
You better take care of that guy.
Oh, he got post-traumatic stress. Like, you're just, okay, that sounds bad, right? I don't know what that means. Like, there's just too much. So I know language evolves. I don't have a problem with that. I am one of those people who will begrudgingly accept certain things, like people say no cap all the time. I fucking hate that. I hated it when it came out. It's stupid. It means no lie. Just say no lie. Like, yeah, no cap. And then there's a baseball cap emoji. And then everyone just says, oh, cap or not cap. And then I think it's very stupid, but I don't say it personally, but I just accept that's in the vernacular now. That's what people, because remember when On Fleek was a thing, but then it turned out it didn't last. So you'd see it in TV shows and movies, but now, even though it was only a few years ago, they're like super dated when they say that in those because it didn't stick around. Like the old Mean Girls, stop trying to make fetch happen. It's never going to happen. But some words and some things do stick around. And then all of a sudden, 20 years later, people were still saying it, even if it's, considered lame, like how we say, oh, that's dope.
Yeah.
Like, that sounds kind of stupid now, but sometimes I'll
still
catch my...
use,
Yeah,
I use dope all the time.
Yeah, I'm just saying, you catch yourself doing that, but... And obviously, certain words, like from our generation, stick around, like the R word.
Yeah.
That sometimes... You slip up and you're just like, fuck, I sound like a douche now. And then, like how people used to always call everything gay, not homosexual gay, just, that's gay, that's gay. That's a hard one for a lot of people, like millennials to break, older millennials, because that was on the Gilmore Girls.
Yeah.
When I was watching the Gilmore Girls, you know how many times they called people retards and stuff, or said that's gay, and I was just like, ooh, like I kind of cringed, like, oh, you can't say that. And I was like, damn, that is almost like 20 years ago, like shit.
And it's weird because like, when you like see that stuff, most of the time they're not. Whenever they're saying like that's gay, it's not like they are trying to say anything about like
that's what
homosexuals
I said. Like,
or anything like
actual
that.
Gay people.
Yeah.
That's why I like the episode of South Park where they had the Harley Riders.
Yeah.
And they were changing the meaning of the other F word.
Yeah.
Which that's one I never really tried to use in my life because that always kind of it was almost like the N word, how it just is like hitch hard.
Hard, yeah.
Like I was when we went to school, like I heard a lot of people saying that all the time, just calling each other that, and I'm just like, I don't like that. I never did. So, but like some people, that they grew up with that, and then that's like I think Matt Damon had a thing this year. He got he was trending because his daughter had to teach him how that word is wrong, and he didn't. It's like, well, I mean, I saw Good Will Hunting. I'm sure, the fucking guys from Boston, they were throwing that around willy-nilly. But I'm reading Lord of the Rings still, and that word shows up all the time because it's a bundle of sticks.
Yeah.
And every time that I read it, it hits me like a fucking pitchfork in the face. I'm like, whoo! That does not come off right anymore. Like, when you read old fiction and somebody says something like, oh, he was very gay, like, you just be like, oh, he's happy. Like, that's one you could just, it doesn't bother you. But the other F word, holy shit, bro. And by the way, that should just be the F word because fuck is not, that's not even a bad word anymore, honestly. It really shouldn't be. Like, what situation do you hear like a kid say fuck and you're like, ooh, he said that? Like, no, nobody cares. But if they say the other F word, you're like, holy shit.
Again, the great George Carlin, he demonstrated how fuck is literally like the best word.
Yeah.
In language, you can use it for everything.
People have been ripping off that bit forever.
Oh, I know.
Without going too far into this, because this is not what the actual episode's about, which we definitely have a topic, of course, clearly planned out, right?
Like always.
Yep. I just wanted your quick opinion on this, though. Do you think there could be a benefit to having, like, the woke software? I think it even goes with, like, how Grammarly just corrects things, that like commas and stuff, where it can change your writing. And I think that can be very... distracting and really kind of change the way you think about prose. I don't think I like that.
The only way I could see that it being a benefit is if you're trying to get into that market. Like, you know what I mean? If you're trying to, like, we've talked about in past episodes recently about, like, woke literature and, fiction and stuff like that. Like, if you wanted to try to get into that little niche, but you were worried that you might not be able to quite write in that style or to fit that, like, you know what I mean? But you're like, hey, that's what sells. I want to try to put a book out there to just, because that's the hot market right now. So that's the only reason. So that also kind of defeats the purpose of having, because I'm sure the purpose of having that feature is probably supposed to, like you said, slowly like change and learn people, where it's just like, no, I'm just using it because I can use it to means to an end to try to get a quick buck.
Well, I'm going to be the opposite side of the coin here and show what I think is the real benefit would be children's books. You're writing children's literature. This would obviously be helpful. And if you're a journalist and you want to come off as unbiased and stuff, here, I wasn't trying to ignore you. I was looking up it has a list, like what the actual feature is. So under the grammar settings on Microsoft Word, you go under grammar and refinements, which I didn't know it had this stuff too. Opinion markers, preposition at the end of clause, slang, and subjunctive mood? Subjunctive mood. I never heard of that one. So you can have those clicked too. There's a lot of stuff they added on Word since I last used it. That sounds interesting. But here's the inclusiveness stuff. This is the woke stuff you can have clicked. Age bias, cultural bias, ethnic slurs, gender bias, gender-neutral pronouns, gender-specific language, racial bias, sexual orientation bias, socioeconomic bias. I don't even know how it points all that stuff out.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
I feel like it would definitely fuck up a lot because not everything is going to be.
Yeah.
Like, who went through to program this? I don't understand. But just like all that stuff, it just seems wild to me.
I mean, I guess it would be interesting to write something and then turn it on to see, like, you know what I mean?
Well, I think some people copy and pasted, like, what would be considered very inclusive fiction, like either work from LGBTQ authors or kids authors or just whatever that's supposed to be not offensive at all, right? And they pasted in there with those on, and you just look the fuck up.
Yeah.
Like, because it's just how we talk and speak, and it just doesn't, I don't know. We went way too long on this. I don't want to get angry or anything. I just thought, I don't like where that can lead, you know?
Yeah.
I just think that's like almost a form of self-censorship. Like, you're going to end up censoring yourself because you're using that feature, and you become too inclusive if that's a thing.
That, or if you were, I guess it kind of goes with my first part, but if you, like, had a character who was, like, the super woke guy.
Could use it for that, yeah.
Yeah, that could like very like niche things are the only scenarios that I can come up with for it.
Yeah, that's weird to me. I don't know who's using that. But anyway, we'll continue on after this musical introduction. Butt sex. Oh, god damn it!
Again?
Can you say butt sex, or does it have to be bum fornication? Like, I don't know what the woke. I don't know like all the sexual stuff.
Yeah,
like the woke sexual terms. I don't know anything actually. I'm stupid.
Intercourse.
That sounds too scientific. Bum love is what I always liked. You are listening to the Drunken Penwriting Podcast. I'm your host, Caleb James. With me today, Spencer, the Madrid Manic Masseuse Church. You're a manic masseuse from Madrid.
So I'm giving mannequins massages?
No, you're manic. You're like, ah!
Oh, okay.
You're like fucking massaging with your elbows real hard.
And then just goes real soft.
Yeah, because you're all over the place. Mania.
Okay, I like that. But I thought I was massaging mannequins first. I was like, I don't.
Mannequin masseuse would have actually been pretty interesting, but I didn't think of it. Sorry. I just thought of an idea for when we're talking about doing new music.
Yeah.
For the podcast. Why don't we just do like Gilmore Girls style and just be la 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 la? Because you ever watch that show? It's just all some lady just la 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 la. And we could do that. Back to our when we were cart pushers, our old Cartman battle cry. La, 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 la. And then people hear that, and we would come out of a dark alley with baseball bats, and it was very terrifying for those old people. Oh yeah, ooh, I'm old. I'm old myself. So today's episode is about. What'd you decide during that break?
I was interested to see what you were gonna say.
You know what I want to talk about, man? I want to talk about the facts. I want to talk about technology, the economy.
Gay frogs?
They turn the frogs? No, we can't do Alex Jones. He sued us once. We can't. Turns out he had a copyright on that song. Who knew? Right? He didn't make it. Fucking jerk. But anyway, how about how to wrangle in your creative life? That's a good topic. I actually was going to talk about dialogue. My original thought today, because me and Ashley were discussing, because I asked him, it's like, how do you go about writing female characters dialogue? Because in my novel I'm writing, I'm having a little bit of a hard time making the female character sound like a female.
She's supposed to sound like a person, Caleb.
Oh, I knew it.
You fuck.
No, what I mean is sound different. Like you'd be able to,
yeah.
If you just read it without the tags or anything, you would think that, she wasn't the same as the guy, like, protagonist. But I didn't want to just, like, revert to just her saying like a lot, or, this is very sophomoric sounding, or using just a lot of actions, like, she twiddled her hair and stuff.
Yeah.
Not that it's that important, but I wanted her to be her own character, and a smart character, but also just sound kind of like a woman, because, women do speak differently than men. Women tend to, when they tell a story, they have a lot more detail.
Yes.
They don't get straight to the point, which we hate, but, that's how they talk. Not all, and this is generalization, by the way, people, so don't get offended. And, we don't have, Audacity does not have a woke filter such as Word, so we can't tell when we're being idiots. But just different things like that. So I think I'm handling it all right. It's just I wanted to make sure that if somebody read that without the dialogue tags or, any pronouns, they would know that this was the female character as opposed to the male character, because it's kind of important to my story that they're different, obviously. Well, not obviously, because you don't know what the story is. But anyway, I didn't want to talk about that because I want to talk about that, but I'm not going to because we already did an episode on dialogue, I believe.
Before we get off of that, I feel I'm a little bit in the same position because one of the longer stories that I wrote a while ago, that for my own collection that I'm working on after we finish our collection, there's like 3 main characters. One of them's a female, and like she has kind of like a big part during like a chunk of it. So I haven't went back to the second draft of that yet, other than just cleaning things up to make sure that it's like kind of readable.
Yeah.
So I'm interested when I go back and just even after however many drafts to see how that turns out. And there's also a female character in the story that I'm writing now. I don't think she'll have as big a part as my other female character, but again, I'm kind of in the same boat with you, trying to make sure that. See, now I wasn't thinking of it more of just making them sound like a woman. It was more of just making sure like they are solid enough as a character, and it's like that's what this character would say or do.
Well, and it all lies in the nuance. Yeah. That's the tricky part because, like, for instance, my character, she's the second, like, I have 2 protagonists. One's like a Irish American white guy. The other one is a black female. And
you didn't tell me that part.
Yeah, and that's actually important to the story, though I'm not focusing on that. Yeah. I'm not going to just be like, her Ebon skin or dumb shit like that. Like, I'm not. That's not going to be a part of it.
You're not going to go Robert E. Howard.
No, I'm not. I just, but it is important to the character, and as a white man, a 30-something white man, it's hard to write a early 20s, like college age black female without just relying on tropes to make it come across like
tropes and stereotypes.
Yeah, because the way I'm writing it now in the first draft, if you read it, it's just like, well, she's a smart character, but she's definitely coming across like not the same as the guy character, because he's actually kind of being a buffoon at the moment, but she's coming across as, I don't want to say artificial, but when you watch a TV show and they have like the kid who's supposed to be a smart kid, but they talk like an adult, and you're like, that's not, come on, kids, even if they're super smart, they're not talking like that. That's very annoying. That's not how they speak. Well, she's kind of coming across as not natural for how, even if it was an intelligent early 20-something-year-old woman would talk, it's too stilted. I'm going to have to work on the rewrites, but like which is going to go to this actual episode, the creative aspect of wrangling in your creativity. My goal is just to write it. I'm not focusing on going back and fixing this or really elaborating or trying to refine the way she speaks or the way she acts or anything. Same with the male character. Same with any of the characters. I'm just writing it out. Just like you used to say, just get the fucking bare bones down, Just go. Even if it's step by step and it's no good, just get the story down and then you can fix it.
Yeah, because then you can go and you can check out that dialogue and stuff and see where you're not having a problem with. And also gives you time to maybe do some research or find like a group of people, that you can maybe hang out with or, talk to or something like that. Or if you're like, maybe you're out getting, at a Starbucks and you see a group of young ladies off the side, maybe you eavesdrop a little bit, see if you can get, like, oh, that's what they did. Fleet came back. That's what they're bringing it back.
Well, my biggest fear is always falling into the fucking bullshit things. I always hate when people say this. If a black person speaks well, they're talking white.
Yeah.
Like, I fucking hate that. Because, like, no, they're just talking, and they're just speaking intelligently. That's all. But you still want
same like when they say like a white person, if they're using a lot of slang or maybe not using good vocabulary, whatever, they get to you're talking black and stuff like that, which is even more messed up. And it's like, no, people are just talking, and some people aren't good with words. Some people are good with words.
Yeah, it's just very fucking stupid because, well, that comes with the thing, too, is like there are plenty of intelligent people who still speak from the way they grew up.
Yeah.
Like, if you're from Boston, you could be very intelligent and had, good upbringing and stuff, but if you're all your friends from Southie and, you fucking talk like an idiot, whatever. But anyway, it's important for me that this character still holds her culture and, some aspects of maybe the way her upbringing would have been. Like, I haven't fleshed her out enough yet to say if she, because it's starting off in Pittsburgh.
Ooh,
so I did throw in some Yinzer accents for the characters I don't like. There's a couple characters that are fucking, you're just not supposed to like them, so they're the ones with the Yinzer accent. I'm not saying anything about Yinzers, it's just I hate that fucking accent even though I'm from the area.
Now, do you hate the whole accent or you just hate the Yins part of it?
I hate it all, like the in that, when they say, oh, all that and that. And it's like, you sound stupid. Stop speaking. But yeah, the Yins, that's the worst, because what the fuck's the Yins? And then, I don't know, there's some stupid words too, like, oh, it's slippy. Now, I've fallen into some of them too, a fucking Jagger bush.
Yeah.
If you go anywhere else, what the fuck's a Jagger? It's a thorn. Chipped ham's not like a thing either, is it? It's just lunch meat.
It's either chipped or it's chopped, and it gets mixed up.
Well, here it's chipped, but I don't think there's chipped ham. And hoagies is another one.
Yeah.
I'm not giving up my hoagies. I love the word hoagie because it's just a good word. Sub, grinder, fuck off. Hoagie.
Grinder is the one that always got me. Like,
well, now it's a gay social media app.
No,
like
but
Tinder.
even when I was younger, and people be like, I want a grinder. Be like,
What?
oh, what? Like a sandwich?
Fucking
Why is
grinder.
that called a grinder?
What do you got? You doing some metalworking? What do you need a grinder for? Oh, a sandwich.
And not even like a specific kind of sandwich. Like a grinder has I don't know.
I don't know the difference. I don't give a fuck about grinders. I don't want to talk about grinders anymore. I want to talk about what the episode is going to be titled, which is something about creativity.
Grinders?
Blah, blah, blah. As I was saying about me just writing, just getting it out. Because I feel like over the past year, and a lot of people have been in this boat, maybe it's not so much your creativity is waning, it's that you let life get so overwhelming that you just don't create.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. So, if you work a shitty job, which I'm sure you have some experience with, you might want to write after work every day, but your job beats you down so much that you don't.
Yeah.
Like, you just end up, you go, oh, I'll write tomorrow. You know what? I actually have more time tomorrow. And then it's always tomorrow. And then all of a sudden, you're like, I haven't written anything in 2-3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Or what I have written is fucking garbage. So I was thinking of ways to kind of subvert that. Like, how do you get around that? Because you can't just quit your job. Some people can, but most of us can't. Now, me, I try to do some writing on my lunch, which has actually been working because my goal, as you know, we've talked about on here already, has been 5 out of 7 days.
Yeah.
Minimum.
Yes.
So far, I've hit that every week since New Year's, which is great. I noticed Friday and Saturdays, I just can't write. I don't know why.
But hey,
I still get my 5 out of 7.
Yeah.
But it's pissed me off because especially Saturday, that's the day I could write the most. So usually I don't have anything going on. I don't know what it is. I think it's just because the work week's ended and I'm just burnt out. But
could you edit? Do you think maybe you could?
I just don't even want to sit down here. I don't know. I don't want to do it. But I've been trying to get some writing done on lunches and then in the evenings. But I do still fall into the kind of trap of when I get home, I get too tired. Like last night, I had all this time I could have, because I wrote at work, and then I came down here and I was going to write, and then I watched fucking stupid TikToks and dumb reels, and I just didn't do anything. And then I finally sat down, and I was just like, you know what, I'll write tomorrow. And then I went to go upstairs, and I checked off my goals for the day on my board I have, and I had to schedule a story that I forgot about. And I was thinking, I can do that tomorrow. And I was like, but it's on the board. I'm not. skipping it.
Yeah.
So I sat down, took the because I already had all the editing and stuff done. It was just a flash fiction somebody submitted. I just sat down and did it. And you know what? I think that's got to be the rule here. That's the thing. Like, people always want these big, oh, how do you get your creativity back? Oh, how do you get over slumps? How do you take back your life? How do you... Just do it. It's a fucking stupid Nike slogan. Just do it. It sounds dumb. It sounds like, oh, that's easier said than done. Yeah, it is.
Yes.
But
that is what separates the pros from the amateurs.
Exactly.
Right.
And what I've done since the new year started with the whole I have to write today, I write it on the board. And if it's on the board and I say I have to get 5 out of 7 days this week, which I think is another reason why I'm having trouble getting Friday and Saturday, because I go Sunday, I got to write today. Monday, I got to write today. And I check them all. And then once I hit Friday, it's like, hey, I hit my 5 out of 7 days. I guess I could take a break. Or, subconsciously I'm thinking, I don't really have to write today. And then I end up not doing anything Friday and Saturday. So I'm thinking about fucking upping it to 7 days. Because it's like, if I kind of turned it into a job where it's just like another chore I have to do. Like, I do my shoppings on Sundays. I do my laundry on Saturday or Sunday. Well, I got to do my writing tonight. Like, if you think of it in those terms as just something you have to do, you can get it done.
Yeah.
And it's going to be hard. When I first started out, the writing wasn't very good. I am fortunate that I'm doing a novel, so it's easier with one project to just keep going versus if you're doing,
You finish the short story, then you got to come up with another short story.
Like, once my novel's done, I'm not exactly sure what happens because I don't have anything to write then. I mean, obviously, for us, I'm going to work on our short story collection and stuff. I'm going to do that before the novel's even done. But just like when the next project starts, it's easy. But before that, what do you do? Because, like, I finished the first draft of the novel. I'm not going to go right into the second,
Yeah.
So am I just in no man's land? I'll have to find something because that's the second part of this is, you just do it. Well, you also need to just keep doing it. Once you have a big break, like even if you go on vacation for a week and then you come back, it might be hard to get back into it because that's where we always fall. It's like we get a good writing rhythm, but then shit happens. Or go to conventions, whatever we do. And then all of a sudden we didn't write for like a week. And then it's like really hard to get back into it.
Yeah. Well, my issue, I haven't been able to keep up with the 5 out of 7 days. I've been slacking worse on that. But it is like what you're saying, like on the days that I'm able to sit and get like and open up the laptop, I'm able to get almost like 400 or 500 word like chunks down,
which adds up.
Yeah,
because Ash, he texted me today. He's like, "How's the writing going?" And it's like, it's going, I'm still hitting on my goals. And he's like, "Yeah, last night I was really busy and stuff. I only got like a couple hundred words." And I was like, "Yeah, that's about all I got too." Yeah. But that's a couple hundred words. Mm-hmm. And then I can add that on to what I do today and tomorrow. And that's how you write a fucking book.
Yeah, because like the story that I'm working on, I'm almost up to like 2,000 words total.
Nice.
And I'm starting to realize where I think this story is going to be a lot bigger than what I originally thought it was going to be. Mm-hmm. Like to the point to where like, I think maybe by the time I got done with this might be its own thing.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
That happens to me every time I sit down to write. It's because like, be a short story.
Which is another thing I was thinking about talking to you off air if we had some time because, like I said, because the story that I originally thought I was just thinking like short story, like a longer short story. But like I said, I'm finding it's gonna be longer, and I've already I've ended a chapter and started another chapter.
Yeah,
and like that's a very
we talking novella here?
I'm thinking, yeah, that's one.
Is it time?
I think it might be. Cause I will be laying on the couch with my laptop sitting on like the living room like table, just like right in front of me. Just like and I look at it, and the next thing I know, it's like 11:30. Like I just time traveled somehow. Like I close my eyes and it's I have to get up,
sit down and do it.
I have to get up so I can go to bed. You
need to just when you sit down with that laptop, just go into it before you have time to go play on your phone or watch TV. Like you just got to get into it.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part. Because for me, once I start writing, it's good. It's just that fucking getting into it. It's like it's rough. sucks. It's doable. That's the thing. If you just take it like an alcoholic, day by day, like someone in AA, you just got to take it day by day, step by step, and you'll get there. Another thing that's been helping me is I made that solid hour a day reading goal.
Yeah.
I've been hit or miss here and there, just depending on how busy and stuff I've been. But as of the last 2 weeks or so, I've been exceeding that.
Oh yeah, my reading hasn't been the issue.
Yeah, I've been reading a lot, but then that's helping my writing because then I'm like, oh man, what I just read was so good.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go fucking do some stuff now. So that's really helping too. Not that we ever had problems reading before, but just being more consistent, because sometimes, I'll take a couple days where I won't read anything and then I'll go on a big binge, and I just trying to just be consistent with everything. I think that's the way to go. No more spurts, because I always was a binge writer, always writing in spurts. I thought, that's just what works for me. No, that's just kind of shit, because it takes me so long to get back into the flow of whatever story I'm writing that I end up abandoning a lot of stuff. And I forget who said this. Like, when you go into writing something and you have a bad writing day, and then you have a good writing day and another bad writing day, when you go back and reread it, you can't tell the difference. You won't know what day was the bad day or what was the good day. You see what you wrote. Well, I've been going into it kind of like that, is where if I'm sitting down to write every day and I don't feel like writing that day, but I do it anyway, I'm like, this is not really good, but I still do the scene or whatever I'm working on. Usually by the next day when I go back to it, I'm like, that wasn't that bad at all. I don't know why I was so down on myself.
Because even if you're, like, during one of your bad days, you might not be able to get a lot done, but if you're still trying, you have the laptop on your lap and you have your fingers on the key, on the keyboard there, and you're just trying, even if you might not get a lot of actual words down, you are still mulling the story over, and then maybe tomorrow when you start that, whatever was giving you problems, you solve that problem or whatever.
Well, I think that's the important thing, is you have to make frequent visits to that world that you're writing. You jump into the world, you step into the world when you're writing, but then when you're done, you're stepped back out. If you take too long of a break before you go back to that world, say a month, 2 months, 3 months, it's like completely gone. What you were creating is almost gone. Like you're not there anymore.
Yeah,
you don't recognize it.
Yeah, especially if it's a work in progress.
Yeah.
Like, we've talked about, like, after, you finish the piece and giving it a couple months, before going back to it. But yeah, that's not a good move when you are still in the process of working on it.
Well, it's like reading a book. If you're reading like a hard fantasy series, and in book 2, in the middle of the book, you stopped reading it, and then you just didn't read it for 6 months. And then one day you just picked it up where you left off, started reading again, you might forget some shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you're going to not remember character colors' eyes and different plot devices and what could be plot holes. And, like, I'm already finding certain things I'm fucked up immediately in my book, and I'm only 50 pages in. I was, in the book I'm writing, like, for instance, this recent, and it's only like chapter 3, this recent scene I was writing, I had to think, when the fuck is this story take place? What part of the month? Or, what part of the year? What month of the year does this story take place? And I had to flip all the way back to the beginning and find out, this is early spring. Because the weather in Pittsburgh is kind of important.
Yeah.
Not necessarily as important to my story, but you have to be consistent with that because we have all 4 seasons here. So I can't just be talking about in the beginning of the thing when they're going to this party how it's really cold and there's like maybe some snow, like early spring snow. But then later on talk about how hot it is.
Yeah.
Like when they leave the party, like that would be fucking dumb.
Well, depending on the day, you could maybe talk about snow in the beginning of the day and super hot by the end.
We'd have had that. I feel like people might not understand if they're not from the area, but yeah, we definitely have that. So what do you think will help your creativity? Do you feel like it's a creative problem you have sometimes, or it's just the actual work problem? Because I feel like it's easy, at least for me, to create the stories. It's actually getting them down is the hard part.
Yeah, that's the actual sitting down and doing the work is where I'm having the issues. 'Cause like I even said, like in this story, like. There'd be times where I've been, like, standing at the screen for, like, 5 minutes, because I'm, like, because, like I said, this story is expanding more,
Yeah.
So, like, as I'm expanding this, I'm trying to also figure out, okay, like, what's the scene the next scene that I want to tell. What's the thing that I'm trying to set up? Like, because like I said, with this being like a weird, like semi-futuristic story, it's like I'm trying to show the differences subtly by light description and just how people talk or do things, other than just being and then the corporations, they ran everything, like like, so like I find it's like I'm doing a lot of sitting there, but then like once I get that, I'm putting a couple hundred words out, pretty quickly. Like I'm doing a paragraph and like because I'll do a couple paragraphs and I like to be like, that might look like however many words, but I highlight it real quick and give it a quick word check, and it's normally always more than what I think. With it also, I know like that's probably not a good thing to do because it could slow you down if you're always checking. But I also feel like it's like a little like, oh, I just did like 200 words when I didn't think I'd, like, you know what I mean? Like, I find it as a little like, oh, I just did that real quick. Let me, some more onto that,
Well, to counter that idea, because I've been writing my novel by hand, I don't have anything but the page numbers to go on. So I can't really count how many words I have. So in a writing session, I just have to go by pages, and that's very different. Because they're not uniform like the way it is on a computer,
Yeah.
Like, oh, I got 50 pages in. Well, I don't know what the fuck that means on the computer. Maybe that's only 30 pages. Maybe that's 80 pages. I don't know.
Yeah, depending on handwriting style and,
and all that stuff. So I can't use the word count as a motivation. Oh, I did 500 words today. Well, maybe I should bump it up to 1,000 and then call it a day. Or, oh, I did 1,500 words today. That's a really good day. I feel good about it. Like, I have no idea. So I don't have that as a motivation. So what I've been doing is just focusing on scenes. Just be like, okay, I'm going to try to knock, this scene out, or at least half the scene before I call it a day. Because I tend to fucking expand my sentences and everything to infinity. And then I have to reel that back. There's so much stuff too, because I go back like a page or so, my next writing session to read what I previously written. And, oh God, I'm just like, oh, I want to cut that. It's so hard not to just because I add too much, which I think it's better to add too much and get rid of it later than not have enough and then have to come up with it later, because that can kind of well, I mean, I guess it just depends what kind of writer you are. For me, if I wanted to lengthen a lot of sentences, then my work's going to get too bloated, because I'm not a short paragraph writer or anything like that. So cutting back is easier for me. But when that first draft, like I read back some of the stuff, and or even just like the word phrase, I'm just like, I want to fix that now, but I can't. So I just don't, and I'm flowing so much better.
So you know what you could do though, as you're doing that, you could like make like little notes or something in the sidebar, like, hey, I want this word to actually be this. When just in case if you don't remember, whenever it gets time to actually for you to start typing.
I've been putting notes in my phone for stuff like that, and I've also put this handy dandy. Over here, this whiteboard that fits so nicely onto my bookshelf there.
It does.
Just for the bigger plot points that I realize I'm changing. Because that's the one thing that really sucks, is when you're like, I don't know, a couple chapters ahead of where you initially anchored a plot point, and then you're like, I don't want that plot point anymore. Like, for instance, my character was initially going to go to, because he's an Irish American, his mom lives in Ireland. I was going to have him go to Ireland over the summer, then he was going to go to school in Ireland, because I needed a reason for him to go to Ireland. And then it hit me, no, killed the mom, and he has to go for the funeral. And then it actually wraps the kind of people know the story I'm telling, but that actually wraps the story up way better, makes it more interesting. So I'm gonna have to nix that whole intro I put in with him talking to his girlfriend about going to Ireland for school. Like, that's just fucking dumb now. So that's gonna be a lot of reworking. But that's a big plot point I put on the board, because obviously want to remember that.
That, or you could you just chalk it up to tweak it to him thinking about wanting to go, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you could be like, oh, I was gonna go there, and then my mom just happened to die too, and then that's why I'm there. But yeah, I gotta think about that. It shouldn't be too much of a rework. It wasn't like I had a huge scene about him talking about this. It was just, mentioned it and stuff. But it does change the whole aspect of why he's going where he's going, and also it changes the character a little bit, because
different mindset.
Yeah, he's not going to be like necessarily a student, or at least going to Ireland to be a student. So I'll have to think about that too. But that's just fun shop talk, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah. But yeah, just a little summarize here of the whole conversation is for anybody who skipped to 42 minutes in or whatever. We put timestamps when we speak on here. We're like, oh, yeah, so we've been doing this for 30 minutes. But then after I edit, we're always wrong.
Yeah.
Because it cuts. So whenever the fucking timestamp is, if you listen to what I'm about to say.
People just like to skip to the back to see if there's any.
But stuff. Yeah, the outro stuff we've been adding. So if you want to be creative and write or draw or create comics or music or whatever it is you are wanting to get into, but you're having trouble, I'm going to give you the most douchey advice I can. Suck it up, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and fucking just do it. That's like the worst thing you can say to people that have like mental health issues too, which is what's keeping them from it. Obviously, you're not just going to just do it. It's very stupid to say just do it. But if your reasoning for not creating what you want to create or doing what you, even with just as in life in general, not doing what you want to do is not necessarily laziness, but just, I don't know, like you just apathy maybe, like you just can't get yourself to do it. And if that's just the case, it has nothing to do with mental health issues or even like exhaustion or too busy or anything. It's like, honestly, that's the best thing is just to do it. Like, even if it sucks.
Well, and then
you have to be willing to suck. That's the problem a lot of people don't want to face is they have to be bad at something before they can get good at it.
And then also another trope to get through like a creative issues and stuff like that is you always hear people talk about like some kind of like exercising or like just even going out for like a walk around the block or something.
Sometimes doing the exact opposite thing of what you want to accomplish can help. And I'm not saying you want to get a good job, you should go be a hobo. Like that's not like, for instance, if you're really having trouble writing, what's the opposite of sitting down and writing? Fucking getting up and doing something. That's not writing.
Do you ever, after any, like, when you get done working out and stuff like that, do you ever have, and not even saying that you're, like, immediately going down and getting on the laptop or writing, in your thing, but, like, as you're working out or maybe on the ride home or whatever, you're like, oh, I kind of, like we were talking about, like, coming up with the solutions that for the problems that you encounter, especially in that first draft.
Well, I'm a very intense person in the gym, Spencer. So generally, I'm not thinking about anything like that when I'm working out, because if I do, then I'm not working out properly.
Yeah.
But after my workout, I eat my lunch, and then that's when I write usually. Or at least, like, even if it's only 10 minutes or something, I get some writing done. So, yes, afterwards, my mind just is flowing great. Because,
you blowing through all those, like, endorphins and stuff. And you're getting blood flowing. You're getting a little lightheaded, maybe, giving you some ideas.
I'm a very strong proponent in exercise. Not strenuous exercise, just unless that works for you. But just exercise to get the creative juices flowing. The whole flow state type of stuff. When it's nice outside, not the fucking dreary 10 degrees blizzard that we've been having lately, I walk in my yard in the woods behind my house, sit in the hammock even. That really, like, no writing at all, just thinking about it, that usually helps a lot. That's what I was doing most of the summer. I was just walking around thinking about stuff and writing.
And as writers, you spend a lot of time sitting down, hunched over, crunched over things.
Yeah, you don't always want to be.
Yeah, it's good for you.
It feels good to get up.
Yeah, you don't want to. It's no good if you get that first book out and then you're dead by the time you do it.
Yeah, which is another thing. I don't know how people find creativity by being drunk. Because whenever I drink, like if I have more than a couple drinks, my writing just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And if I am writing, it is shit.
Now, what about like maybe not necessarily like the writing, but like idea brainstorming concept, like you know what I mean?
Which I actually included this in a scene in my book because my character gets drunk and starts reciting poetry he makes up, which is very offensive. He thinks that he sounds better than he is when he's drunk. Like he thinks he's saying some kind of glorious, like, some awesome thing, but he's not. That's how my writing ideas are when I'm drunk. I'm like, oh, that's fucking amazing. And even if I scribble it down somewhere, I read it the next day and I'm like, that's horseshit. That doesn't even make sense. Why did I think that was clever? So that happens a lot too. If you drink a lot, I guess. I don't like the Hunter S. Thompson. We always talk about how the fuck did he get any writing done? What would he have been like if he didn't do all that stuff? Would he have been like a genius? I don't know.
he maybe not would have been.
He's just
not a-
wired differently.
Yeah, maybe he would have been a shitty writer
F.
if he wasn't on like the mescaline. And
Here, let's just F. Scott Fitzgerald. His career was pretty much ruined by booze. So what would he have been? Would he been Great Gatsby? Would have just been a warm up for him if he didn't kill himself young by drinking himself to death? Like I feel like a lot of people ruin their creativity with drugs and alcohol, and we like to look at it like a lot of these creatives, like, oh man, he did all this amazing stuff and he was always high. It's because he was always getting high, or he was doing this, or like the Philip K. Dick when we say he's like a meth head or something. Oh, he's able to create all that stuff when he's on meth. Well, I always think like, well, what if he wasn't on the meth?
Yeah.
Would he have been better? No, there's like certain things like mushrooms and weed and stuff like that. That's usually helps people come up with ideas, or it just makes them think about things differently. I'm talking about like drugs.
Yeah.
Like cocaine, ecstasy, fucking, anything that's really altering you.
If you could like strap yourself in the chair in front of the computer, Coke might help. Yeah, like I don't know when you come back, because I mean, like, say what you will, but the old wives' tale of of Kojo for Stephen King did it in a weekend Coke bender, like so.
I don't know, man, because even if I have too much coffee and I start writing, it just doesn't happen. I'm ADD then. I can't focus. Like I just looking all around and I'm stupid. It doesn't work. Actually, and this is what really makes me mad, I'm at my best writing, it seems like, when I'm fucking really tired and just want to go to bed, and I'm like, I'll just knock out a few fucking words, and then I go on this crazy flow. I don't like that because I end up falling asleep or something. Like I don't know what it is, but when I'm like really tired, if I make myself write, then I usually have the best writing.
Well, I've also heard like some writers like to first thing in the morning to get up before they have their coffee or
like
their
Stephen
breakfast.
Kotler was saying, because he's a flow state writer guy, like he was talking about getting into flow states and stuff. He said he was waking up at like 3 or 4 in the morning and he would get like black coffee and just start writing before he was even awake.
Yeah.
Like that, like, really? Like I've tried that and yeah, I'm not that guy.
Well, again, it's also like you could be that guy, like if you wake up at 3, have your coffee, write for a few hours, and then you can go back to bed for a couple hours if you need to.
That's the thing
like,
nobody ever talks about is like these guys are writers. That's their job.
Yeah.
It's not I'm writing and then I have to do my job.
Yeah.
I have to be at work every day at 8 in the morning. So that means I have to get up around 6 something to make breakfast and stuff. And leave 7:30, 7, whatever time I fucking leave. That means that if I wanted to get up and write, so 4 o'clock, say 4 o'clock in the morning to get a couple hours in, and then I do all my morning stuff and then go to fucking work. When am I going to bed? 5 at night? Like 6? Like as soon as I get home from work? I don't know. Like you work at like fucking ridiculous morning shift.
Yeah.
Like what? Like when would you write? Midnight?
I've almost thought about trying like seeing for like a week to see how it worked. To like I'm 4 in the morning to 1 in the evening.
Ugh.
So like I've been thinking about
1 is not evening.
Okay,
That's lunchtime.
Yeah. Well, I've been thinking about playing with the get home, get cleaned up, get something to eat. Maybe watch a little bit of TV or do a little bit of reading, and then like go to bed, and then like to like like around like 5 or 6 until like midnight, and then like get up at midnight and try to do some writing before going to work. But I was like, I don't know how
that sounds terrible.
Yeah, it
that
does.
sounds like you'd have no life.
Well, I mean,
when would you do podcast, Spencer?
Well, I mean, obviously on the podcast day it would.
Oh, so one day a week you just completely flip your schedule.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, that sounds awful. I wouldn't want to do that. I would like to be able to. That's another problem, too. I was thinking about making that. My New Year's resolution was to get up early in the morning and write. Because I did that before, and it worked for about a week. And then I was just like, I missed one. No, the weekend came. And then after that, I was fucking destroyed.
Yeah.
I was like, the weekend came, I slept till noon, and then my whole schedule was fucked up. So I thought about doing that. And then I was like, oh, wait, winter is a thing. And I don't like waking up early in the morning. And Mindy always turns the heat down before we go to bed. So if I wake up first, it's freezing. So I kind of want to lay in bed till she gets up to fix it. Like, turn it up. So I don't want to do any of that. So anyway, people, you just got to do it. And then you fucking die. That's what it is. Do it and then die. It doesn't matter if you become successful because life is fleeting. Sorry, Ash was telling me about he just read The Stranger. It was just very nihilistic, and now that's on my mind. It's just everything ends, and there's no point to life. And then I'm like, yeah, But that kind of is comforting to me. If there's no point to life, then what does it matter?
Yeah, just do
If I
it.
fail, succeed, who cares?
Yeah, just fucking do it.
Yeah, so I might as well just do it because if I fail, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Some people look, well, if I succeed, it doesn't matter. Yeah, well, if you fail, it doesn't matter. So why not succeed and get some money? Or at least get some bitches. Can you use the term bitches anymore? But it's on the radio so often.
Is it?
Yeah, all these rap songs.
Oh, I just normally just listen to podcasts in the car. I don't.
The DPW podcast, of course.
Yes.
By the way, if you do like the DPW podcast, you can go to our website, drunkenpenwriting.com. We just had this episode post on Tuesday, so we just had a story on Friday, and it's a flash fiction piece that you might find interesting. Check that out. You could go to @DrunkPenWriting on the Twitter and give us a follow. You can go on Instagram and Facebook @DrunkenPenWriting and give us a like and follow on those as well. And you can check out our YouTube channel where we only post podcasts currently. Every once in a while, like 2 years ago, we post a video, but we haven't been anywhere to record anything lately. Any parting words, Spencer?
Just do it.
Did you like that segue I did? Just jumping into the...
Yeah, that was nice.
It's because I'm fucking looking at how much I'm going to have to edit now. It's been like an hour. Yeah, just do it. Do it to it. Do it until you get to it, and then do it until you start screwing it, and then no. Always gets see, I need to cut back.
Yeah,
that's my problem. I go too far. I need to just cut back. I need to stop things a sentence sooner. That's what it is. One sentence sooner.